It's time to sharpen up those edges and grease up your chains.
We are going to live it up with mountain life. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, mountain lifers, mountain lovers? Happy summer to all you road trippers and skinny dippers out there, all the multi-day hikers and downhill bikers, all the solo climbers and patio timers. Yeah, the sun is shining and things are looking up, but how are you feeling? Do you feel special? Because according to the New York Times, you are special. The Times recently ran a story about how the outdoor sports community is leading the charge on a renaissance for print magazines, which is not really news to us. We make magazines, and Mountain Life is for, by, and all about people who love to get out there and get after it. But when we look at the broader picture, especially south of the border, there's no shortage of great niche outdoor-associated magazines down there that are thriving in the digital era. And Mike Rogge is on the show today. Mike's the owner of the Mountain Gazette, perhaps the finest outdoor magazine in all the lands. The Gazette is currently the tallest poppy in what seems to be a fairly healthy ecosystem of magazines aimed at outdoor people who understand the power of a physical experience and how it affects their mood, health, aspirations, connections, and community. Mountain lifers want something tangible, and they're not afraid to sit down with a magazine to get it. So we'll talk about that a bit today, but first, some words from our longtime partners over at Jack Wolfskin, makers of quality and sustainable outdoor clothing, gear, and footwear. Jack Wolfskin is here with your weekly weather report. Rain is in the forecast, but that shouldn't be a problem thanks to their weatherproof Texapor technology. Texapor is Jack Wolfskin's exclusive weather protection that's used in their jackets, shoes, packs, and more. Texapor gear is built to keep you comfortable and dry, so the rain will stop before you do. Jack Wolfskin, we live to discover. We live to discover. I've been rocking a Jack Wolfskin cycling jacket, mostly using it for e-biking, and really digging it. Really digging the way the sleeve comes down a little extra farther on the top of my hand. Keeps the spray out, keeps the rain out. So as I said, Mountain Gazette owner and publisher and editor Mike Rogge is on the show. And this show's a little bit different from some of the others. It's very conversational, less of an interview and more of just a couple dudes talking, which I know is how superstar music producer, author, champion of the creative mind Rick Rubin likes to do things. But does that mean it's going to work for us? We'll see. This is our 48th episode here at Live It Up, so why not try some new things? Also, it's summer, but Mike and I talk a lot about skiing. Part of that is because he's a legit, real-deal skier who knows all the ins and outs of the sport and its stars. But it's also, he's a big fan of a ski movie I made with my buddy Travis Tetro back around the turn of the millennium called Parental Advisory. And Mike really wanted to talk about that because it was a seminal piece of media in his life. Which is a nice tie-in because we shot that movie really on one of the first generations of digital cameras, and it only came out on VHS tape, analog. And now Mike Rogge is on the front lines of preserving print media and showcasing the value of an analog experience with the Mountain Gazette, which was a historic mountain culture, counterculture magazine that started in the 1960s. Mike resurrected the Gazette from the grave in 2020, changed the magazine by ditching almost all the current digital pandering trends. No sponsored content, no web stories, no gear reviews, no top 10 lists, no resort guides. Everything that everyone else was doing to get clicks and impressions, Mike threw it out the door. And he launched the mag on a subscription-only business model, and he launched it big. Literally big, 11 by 17 inches. This mag is huge, which means the photos look amazing, and also means there's a lot of room for text. So Mountain Gazette prints really fine, long-form journalism in an era when few do such a thing. We strive to do our best here at Mountain Life, of course, and I think we do a pretty damn fine job most of the time, especially since our mags are free. But even so, I think there are definitely times when we're all a little bit envious of what Mike has built. Before we get into it all, though, I want to flag that there are a few instances of colorful language in this issue. Magazine publishing is dirty work, and sometimes our mouths reflect that. All right, let's drop into my conversation with Mike Rogge. I'm glad we connected, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. Like I was saying before we started recording, I'm a huge fan of the movie Parental Advisory, so you probably could have asked me for like a loan and I would have given it to you just based off of that movie.
That's crazy. I mean, we definitely can continue to ski nerd out for a while here, but it's, well, look, I've got the box cover right here.
There it is.
We have a lot in those days, right? You would give your master beta tape to somebody, some random distributor that you met in Vegas at the ski show, and then you would ship them box covers, and that was how you sort of prevented bootlegging and stuff, right? And of course, anyone can just make a box cover if they really wanted to, but that was the best we could do.
We passed it around. I mean, before like Netflix or Vimeo, like password sharing, like I
Yeah,
told you, I like basically brought that film back from Whistler. My friend Mark, it's actually his birthday today. Shout out to Mark Rogge. He bought a copy too, and we basically we were the Netflix password sharing. Like we would give it to our friends, but it was always like, dude, and if you lose it,
yeah.
like
Because yeah,
fucked.
you bought yours in
Yeah, yeah.
Whistler. Like it wasn't like you could go into a ski shop in New York and buy it, though, right?
No, so like at that time, I grew up in upstate New York, and you could go to Killington, Vermont, and they had a couple like Fred's Free Ride and a couple other ski shops that would sell level one, Poor Boys, TGR, MSP
Yeah,
movies. But like, dude, I graduated high school in 2004. Like I came of age in like 1998, 1999, 2000. Like that was my formative, like, I don't
yeah,
want to be a racer. I don't want to be a mogul skier. And oh, big mountain skiing, powder skiing. I live in the Adirondacks. Like I can't do that. So like park skiing for me was everything. And so getting that, and at the same time, I joke with people, it was like a witch's brew, like getting your film, getting Desiree's film, getting Josh Berman's film, and then Jason Leventhal starting what came Line Skis in Albany, New York, and testing like in upstate New York, and
yeah.
Berman filming in Troy, New York, and like the East Coast becoming this like rail scene. I was like, I mean, that's why I'm here. So, so parental advisory was definitely, I mean, again, also the other thing is like, we all knew about Poor Boys. We all knew about MSP. So to
Yeah.
see like, I like in, you guys to heavy hitting films, right? I want to
Yeah.
get it right because I know you guys have been heavy hitting horror as well. So I want
Yeah,
to make
we
sure I,
we we pivoted into horror movies just because the ski industry was a tricky. You really had to
yeah,
love it. It was a labor of love for a few years, and we'd already spent like all our money on the movie, which wasn't that much money, but it was like we're not going to do that again. There's no real support stepping up, and so we might as well
no,
do something else. And then yeah, Chili and I just like we got cameras and we love horror movies. Let's start making horror movies, and start getting other people to. And so it shifted to that away from action sports. Again, also it was like camera technology was evolving so quickly, and if you didn't have the best new camera, it was difficult to compete. You weren't going to get jobs to make money with your camera, and we didn't like fuck. We just spent $10,000 on these other cameras, and now we got to buy the next camera, and we were just like fuck this. Let's just
do you
do
remember?
stupid
I
shit.
think Canimated was the GL2,
Yeah,
had the handle on the top. I
yeah,
remember when that camera came out, it being like, I mean, dude, I like mode. And thinking back at it, it was like I got some work. Like I bought a GL2 with like lawn mowing money.
yeah. And
Like, but then but
we
I
had the
probably,
XL1s with removable
yeah, yeah,
lenses, right? And it was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it was a 10,000. I got a student loan because I was still in school to buy that camera. And two years later, something else way better was out. And I was like, fuck, I haven't even paid off this one. Like, so we just kind of gave
I,
up on it.
I feel like it is the nice thing about the ski industry though, is that like, we were all warned, right? Like I read Warren Miller's Freedom Found, and in the 70s, he was saying, oh, I worked for 20 years to become an overnight success. And I always thought like, oh, like he just needed a big break. It's like, no, dude, you're constantly grinding,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
trying to find a lane or something that is steady and works. But I do feel like it's indicative of the fact that we work in it's a seasonal industry, snow dependent, it's people dependent. There's like so many
and
like,
lifestyle priority, right? Like
yeah, I mean,
there's a value to going out and having a beautiful day without the camera. And, you're going to, the, that sense of, I'm here for the lifestyle, not to succeed so much, plays a huge role.
I remember, I mean, I was like, I loved skiing. And then I saw, Vinny Dorian or Kusan or whomever, hitting stuff backwards. And you're like, okay, this is different, totally different. And in a way, I wanted to like bear witness. I certainly wanted to be a part of it, but athletically, I mean, I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like we all know, all due respect to the tall freestyle skiers that are out there, like it's not us.
Yeah.
Like
No,
we were not born. It's Vinny Dorian,
yeah,
it's JP Claire. It's dudes that are 6 to 7 inches shorter than I am. And,
totally.
uh, and I was just like, well, I like writing. And so I thought I'd start writing about it. And then what I found was that every time I would go and write about an event, something brand new would happen. A new athlete would be on the scene, a new trick would be done. And it just was like, I mean, it wasn't even a sport. It was just a thing that you were doing and you were seeing it. And I mean, I saw a couple of Vinny's underflips. And I remember like in your film, and I remember watching Pro Advisory, and like the only time I'd see an underflip was that one time. We're talking pre-YouTube, pre-SAS films, pre-News Schoolers. I guess News Schoolers was around, but it was just like a Craigslist.
Yeah, it was just text only.
Yeah. And we were like basically park reports. But I remember you in that film distinctly, because I watched the other day when you sent it to me, and I was like, I remember loving this. You showed the underflip, I think 2 or 3 times in a row because it was such a new trick.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that was so cool. I didn't have to rewind it. It was just like, thank you. It wasn't like, Instagram Reels or TikTok where just like you can watch something a million times to understand the physicality of it and the aerodynamics of it. But it was just like, it was so dope. I mean, did you have mogul skiing in that film too? Which just
a little bit.
so
We had
minor.
Vinny skiing moguls, right? And he wasn't even that happy about his line. I was like, no, Vinny, it looks sick. Like a tail grab in the moguls. It was awesome, right? But
also the first time I ever saw a Venus flytrap.
Right.
That's
which
the
was,
sickest shit. Yeah.
We used to, Tobin was a buddy, like he lived in Whistler. So, and he would just, every contest, he would just show up and do that and win the quarter pipe contest every time.
Dude. And the Molson Canadian Snow Jam, those were good times. I mean, I'm just saying, like, skiing is in a really amazing place right now, but I don't think I could compare eras because I mean, that was such a fun time. I was a kid.
Yeah.
To be 12 or 13 and to see these guys that truly like no one knows about, it's like discovering a band.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, even today, like I think there's a ton of kids that are probably under 18 that don't know who the new Canadian Air Force is, don't know who, a lot of these early pioneers.
Which is crazy because that history is more accessible than ever, but there's so much other noise out there to overpower that stuff that they get distracted, I guess.
I think there's a disconnect, and so I'm working on a book right now, and part of that is to show that like it takes place here in North Lake Tahoe where I live, but the idea behind the book is it's going to take place over a season, and it's going to be I joke with people, it's a timeline with a lot of Venn diagrams in it, and what it shows is kind of like, look, like the things you're doing today, the things you're fighting for, maybe you're like arguing with your resort manager about putting a half pipe in or something. Like there, people have successfully and unsuccessfully done this in the past. Like there's a lot that there's tricks that kids come like. I feel like as soon as like the bunch in Europe figure out like what a rocket air is, like it's game over. You know what I mean? Like, or a zoot to mute in the half pipe. Like, I mean, my God, let's see Phil Cassavon do that. I know he wouldn't cross his skis, but so the idea behind this like book that I'm working on, I'm in no way promoting it. I mean, I just started writing it like this winter, and it probably won't be done for a year. But we're my agent and I kind of narrowed down this idea of like you can tell a history of the last 40 years of skiing and show that like so much has changed in 40 years and a lot hasn't changed and that we're all kind of connected. I mean, case in point, you and I are here on a podcast. We're going to talk about Mountain Gazette, but we're not. We're talking about a piece of media you made, 20 years ago.
I think 25 now. It came out
25 years ago.
It came out in
but
2000.
Like, I mean, you probably didn't even know this when you reached out to me, but like, I mean, that film totally changed my life. It was certainly one of the seminal pieces of media that I've seen. And obviously you didn't expect this.
No.
But like I told you, but once I agreed to the podcast, I told you I was going to do this. I told you I was going to be like, we have to talk about parental advisory for a little bit.
I'm always happy to talk about it. I wanted to ask you, like, one of the things you mentioned was, seeing Vinny Dorian do an underflip, and one of those shots was a contest. I remember going to the Blackcomb Terrain Park, and it was a slopestyle contest, and riding the chairlift with Tanner Hall when he was like 14, because he was in the contest, and he's like, oh yeah, I heard of you guys. Let's do some runs. Right. And I feel like that contest scene, has disappeared in Whistler. It has anyhow. It's part of it, I think, is because you can't just get a company to put a banner on a jump and give you $100,000 like you used to be able to. Right. But But I don't know. Is there still like a viable contest scene down where you are? Because it's kind of dried up here.
There's not, but I just went to my first Jib League event at Sugar Bowl. Oystein and James Woods and a couple Euro guys are running it, and the idea is amazing. So you pick like 2 features in a day. There's a men's category and a women's category. What's beautiful, man, is it's an open event.
Yeah.
Right. So there's 2 days of open. And then what they do is every make, like every trick is filmed, but they only put the makes in the timeline. So like the filmers and editors are working really hard. They're earning their money. That night, they put on a Spotify playlist that is curated by the athletes, and the men vote for the men and the women vote for the women. You get 2 votes. You get a first place vote for 2 points and a second place vote for 1 point. And it's all via an app. And at the end, they tally it up. And whoever from the open like gets those like 2 or 3 spots, men and women, those 6 athletes are invited to compete. And then there's 4 more features. There's 2 more days, and like they're all choosing, and it's a fully athlete judged event. And Josh Bishop, who's, the global marketing manager for Monster, he's an old friend of mine from the East Coast. He and I were there having dinner, and he's like, dude, it's back. Like park skiing is going to be back, because for the sponsors, like you've got an unlimited amount of video content.
Yeah.
That you can put online.
That's all anyone cares about anymore, right?
Yeah, you can put it online. And not us at Mountain Gazette Feet. We're really into print. We're really into words and photos and art. But I think from a park skiing standpoint, I think it's back. I think the other thing that looks really like Palisades Tahoe down here just closed yesterday, Memorial Day weekend here in the States. And I was there on Thursday, and I was, I'm 38. I'll be 39 in October. And I was seeing guys my age and older jamming through this sweet flow park. I mean, they made a snake run with like a couple rails in it. You could like kind of hip some of the features in there. And then a few like, call them, okay, I'll do my career like 10 meter to 15 meter jumps,
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, this is the right side. They certainly have a big line. They certainly have it. And I went and saw Dead and Company of the Sphere over the weekend, so I wasn't trying to hit the big line and blow my knee before. But I felt good, man. I mean, I was fully set to like, hike just some terrain. That's more my speed these days. And I, certainly love just like skiing fast, skiing backwards, and goofing off, having a good time. But I found myself, I was like, okay, this is going to be my day, 5-6 runs, and I'm out, I'm off to work. I ended up staying 2 extra hours just skiing through this flow park, 180, switch 180. I landed my first switch 3 in 5 years. I was very proud of myself. I'm a father of 2 doing switch 3s. And I was like, how many father?
That's sick.
I mean, David Wise has 3 kids, so I can't really claim to be like a good rad dad, but like, I mean, it was good, man. And I just think like skiing is getting to a place where I don't think you have to choose anymore. Certainly racers choose, and certainly like Olympic minded athletes choose, but I look at a skier like Aaron Blunk today, who's like, X Games half pipe champion. Kid can ski park like no other. His rail game is so tight. He's also one of the most beautiful powder skiers ever, and will go hit a backcountry booter at Mount Baker or throw skins on and go for a cool, fun tour in the Rocky. I'm like, that is what I think JP and JF and Tanner and Vinny and Candide, like, I think that's what all those guys wanted. Was to have the skier, and the idea is that Aaron Blunt can be in the X Games and also be in the Alps.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have
that
to
was
choose.
kind of in my mind, that was, the holy grail was the all around skiing is not just one thing. Right. And of course, out here, we're lucky we have a lot of different terrain to play with compared to a kid in Ontario or, in upstate New York. But those guys were complete skiers, right? And they wanted to show that rather than just banging bumps for FIS.
I make this joke a lot when I talk about the Gazette, because we don't write resort guides. I was like, you shouldn't read our magazine if you need me to tell you that Whistler's good.
Yeah.
And that's always been the anecdote. But I do want to just say, for the record, Whistler is not good. Whistler's fucking amazing. I think it's one of the greatest spots. And I know some folks are bummed at what Vail has done to the mountain, but I still think, like all ski towns, like these corporate entities cannot kill the vibe completely. I mean, I was up there 3 winters ago, and I was hanging at RMU, and in walks Mike Douglas, in walks Jeff Schmuck, and I'm hanging out with Mike Weishi and a bunch of the guys there, and Wiley Miller was in town for a sec, and I'm just like, dude, this is
Yeah,
People will always go to Whistler because the one thing they can't change is the terrain, and the terrain is
exactly. And
just
that's
so
what I
sick.
always say. Like, you can do anything you want, but the mountain is still the mountain, right? And the
Yeah.
same side hits that I was hitting when I was in grade 7, I'm hitting still with my kid who's in grade 9, right? Like,
Oh,
and
it's so cool.
it's there's a lot of noise, but once your feet are on the ground on the mountain, it's as good as it ever was, right? Or
Oh
better,
yeah.
right?
I
But
mean, I think like equipment's gotten so much better too. I mean, we're rebuilding our garage this summer. We had a little like entryway collapse from our huge winter last year, 2 winters ago in Tahoe now. And so I was taking all my skis out, which I have not done like a full ski inventory. And I was like, God, I bought this like pair of like K2 Black Magics at a garage sale like 11 years ago. And I moved to Tahoe for $50. I probably skied them 4 times,
yeah,
but I looked at them and I'm like, these are still good. And I'm like, I'm going to take these out early season. It's a good way to like get ready for winter. It's just rip around some parabolic K2 Black Magics, like just the
how
goofiest ski
how many skis have you
ever.
got in the garage though? Now that you had to pull them out, is there dozens? Is there 20 or?
I've culled quite a few. So we're a family of four now. My wife's probably got 6 to 8 pairs of skis. My oldest son has like 2 to 3 pairs. My youngest son has 1 pair. And they're obviously going to grow up into
Yeah.
each other's skis and whatnot. I'm probably looking at like 18 to 20 pairs, which
Okay.
I say I called, but like they all mean something to me. I mean, I think about like I have a great pair of JJs that are heavy, they're pretty heavy for a pow day compared to the JJ Ultralight, which has the yellow bird. I was
Right.
a board member for Alpine Initiatives for a number of years, and Tyler Hamlet and I are really good friends, and JP was a mentor to me and a good friend, and so when Evo came out with that ski with AI, it benefited AI. I bought that pair, and like that pair, I'd say is like my sure thing midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like it's a pow day. No one from San Francisco's here. The mountain is mine.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to listen to. I know what I'm going to eat for breakfast the next day, and I know I'm going to grab the JJ Ultralights. But then I've got 2 pairs of snow blades that my friends at Moment made me. One has Notorious B.I.G. on it, and the other ones are Too Shorts. We for a couple of years I helped Moment make snow blades, and we named them after rappers with the
Sick.
little or yeah, or the Biggie Smalls, whatever. So those are fun. I've got like 5 pairs of skis with demo bindings on them for when friends and family come out.
Yeah.
Because I do find that people tend to come to Tahoe and they're either overgunned or undergunned. They're never like, in that 102 to 106 range. They always got like an 88 underfoot and it's going to snow. And I'm like, you're fucked,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. You're fucked.
Or they come out with their like 132 underfoot secret weapon. And I'm like, dude, this is not going to be fun for you. This isn't Alaska. like,
Yeah.
so, and then I just got into pow surfing the last couple winters. And so
How's
I've
that
got a
going?
jump.
I've never done it, but I mean, I know a lot of guys that are skiers that are really into it, and it's that's their favorite thing to do.
I think it's my favorite special thing to do. I always equate a lot of things to food to kind of make like a nice like analogy to them. I think a great day of pow surfing is probably like eating caviar.
Right.
Like you should not do it every day. I think it's impossible to do every day. But I think it's like, dude, I mean, it's one of those things that I mean, I can do it with my son. We do it in the backyard. We keep
Yeah.
it real
Yeah.
low key, Burton backyard style. But I've gotten 4 good sled access, long pow surf runs, and I could tell you every single turn I made.
Yeah.
It's that memorable because
Did you grow up skating or surfing or snowboarding, or how was the transition from skiing to pow surf?
so when I was 29, I decided what I was going to start because when I was younger, we all did this, right? I just get super fucked up on my birthday.
Yeah.
And that wasn't for me anymore. And so I decided when I turned 30, I was going to teach myself something new for at least a few months. So when I turned 30, I bought my first skateboard from my buddy's surf shop in Maine. And
Yeah.
I got my ass handed to me for about 6 months. And I realized I didn't want a longboard or anything like that, but I also didn't want to I wasn't trying to do flip tricks or anything. I wanted to be able to flow
Yeah. Yeah.
through
Yeah.
things. And so I've just been like trying to learn transitions and flowing around, skating, trying not to push too much and just kind of like keep my speed. And I think I learned how to wake surf. I've learned how to surf since I moved to California 14 years ago almost. And um, it was all right. I don't think there's much difference between going forward or going sideways. I think it's more like it's more just like feeling,
Yeah.
like I'm grateful that I don't have to choose any of them. So it's really fun though.
Similar to you, I started skating at 40. I grew up on
Nice.
gravel roads, right? I couldn't skate when I was a kid. We didn't have concrete.
Yeah.
And then yeah, right away broke my ankle right away. And now I just keep the wheels on the ground. You know, if the wheels stay on the ground, I'm gonna be doing better.
It's super fun, man. I mean, I am really trying yeah, I'm 38 now and I'm trying to learn new thing this summer. My wife and I are getting really into disc golf just because we have great courses here in Tahoe. I'm not really one to golf. I mean, I know how to golf, I've golfed,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Expensive
thankfully,
walk.
yeah. Also, Mountain Gazette doesn't really dig. Like, I don't have a lot of partners or subscribers that are like, "Oh, please come join us for a round." Like, my friends at the Golfers Journal would rather come up to Tahoe and go skiing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're in San Clemente. We could also go surfing or something. But yeah, I think um, getting older is super fun and having the ability to try new stuff, especially with your kids. Like, I never played soccer, and like I'm super into playing soccer now with my son. He's really into it. And so I'm just kind of letting them dictate the new stuff I get into every year.
Yeah, and you can fall back in love with things through the kids' excitement about it, right? But
Yeah, totally. I mean, so when I worked at Powder, Neil Stebbins, he just passed away about a month ago. One of the original Powder editors, really bright guy. We were working on the 40th anniversary of Powder magazine, and he asked me, he goes, "Mike, what do you like to do?" And I was like, "Dude, I love to ski." And he's like, "Well, you're boring then." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, you work at a ski magazine. Of course you like skiing. Like, what else do you like?" And he kept telling me that my life, I should pick up sailing or surfing or anything in the water, something that could be like, it would take a little longer to get really good at.
yeah.
Because life becomes beautiful when you have contrast in it. And I've been thinking about that a lot. And so, like, my wife and I play in this disc golf league at this brewery, and we suck. We're always in the bottom three, but like, we're getting better and we like it and it's fun. And like, there's no judgment there. I mean, it's not like there's like this
Yeah,
super heady,
yeah.
hardcore disco, but it's just super fun. And like, we're learning how to do something new and it's awesome. And so I'm trying to add more contrast to my life because I still love skiing. I probably love skiing now more than I ever have. But I think it's because when I'm on skis, I can feel very comfortable and feels very natural to me. And when I have like a disc in my hands, it feels very unnatural. Or I'm paddle boarding or trying to sail or even hiking. I'm just like, man, this isn't. I'm more used to having something heavy on my shoulders, or on my back or something. But I don't know. I'm digging it, man. Life's good right now.
Mountain Gazette, this is a whole story on its own, but you were obviously a journalist before that. Was there a moment in your life where you realized like I'm not going to be the next Cousin or the next Vinnie Dorian and I need to do something and you drifted towards your writing or how did you end up, becoming this
Yeah.
side of the ski industry rather than, the athlete side or the camera? I know you do a lot of filming and stuff, or you used to.
So skiing was something, frankly, I was just never really good at because I didn't think you had to be. But where I grew up, I did a lot of night skiing. Like, I'd say like 80, still to this day, with all the skiing I've done, probably 85% of the skiing I've done in my life, Monday through Friday, was from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. I
Wow.
could get a full 6 hours in after school. And skiing wasn't, at least for my friends and I, wasn't competitive. It was like, I mean, the way kids talk about like skating,
Right.
like it was a thing. Like, we'd show up at the resort and just being there was part of it, like getting a cheeseburger and like cheese fries and like talking about your day with your friends. Like, it just actually was like this really great social community for me. And so athletically, I never even thought about I didn't know what it meant to be good at skiing. That didn't make any sense. It was just to be skiing was a thing. And I think quickly, I saw Mosley do the 360 mute grab, saw the X Games, saw that the kids from Quebec were crushing it and could do really cool stuff. Saw Skogan Sprang could do a switch rodeo called the Scodio. Like, I just saw all this cool stuff. And um, I started getting hurt real fast, man. You know, I mean, like I had no air awareness whatsoever. I could do a 360. I used to love doing, remember the era of skiing when people would just like hit like a rainbow rail and they wouldn't actually touch the rail. They do a big 180 over it and land flat. That was
Right.
my jam. And I was like, I'm gonna land back. I wanted to ski backwards. That was like my big thing. I was like skiing backwards, skiing the wrong way. You know, that seemed really cool to me. And I, did a half pipe jam. I joked that I finished third because I was one of three people that landed my run. Everybody else crashed. And I just like, it became apparent to me people were getting better. And I also really liked writing. And I had some really good mentors in high school, like some great teachers and later professors that were like, dude, you can write about skiing. Like that's a viable career. And I can remember a girlfriend's dad in high school being like, yeah, you could write about Legos too. You're not going to make any fucking money off of it. But I got lucky, man. I'm sure a mutual friend of ours, Jeff Schmuck, he got over to New Schoolers and he noticed I'd been writing a blog about like East Coast skiing and rail jams and like street skiing and skiing in backyards. And that's what was going on. And he was like, look, I'm not from here. I don't know what any of this stuff is. I really could use your help. And so I stopped working in an Italian restaurant as a busboy, and Schmuck and Doug Bishop started paying me to do what I was already doing.
Yeah.
And then Schmuck started going further and being like, hey, why don't you, Simon Dumont's trying to break the world half pipe record. Why don't you go do that? So I went from writing about like my cousin and my friend hitting homemade rails in the backyard to like in a sushi restaurant with Red Bull and Oakley and Solomon and Simon Dumont and TJ Schiller and all these guys. And I was like, holy shit, this is insane. Because I knew who all those guys were. And then I just, I don't know what it was, man. I wouldn't say it's that I didn't see a lane for me as an athlete because I kept skiing, but I just saw I'd write this and make $500. My friend would work a busy weekend as a bartender in college and would make $300. And I was like, well, this is way better.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It wasn't so much I could do this or not that. It was just like I wanted to follow it. I mean, I made my senior thesis of college. Schmuck's in my senior thesis as a guy interviewed on camera about whether or not I should become a high school teacher, an English teacher, like I planned. That's what I told everyone I was going to do in college, or if I should go to Vegas and try to find a job at the trade show.
Yeah.
And in the end, like Schmuck, like it was like my moral compass in the whole thing, which is funny to say now, but he's like, dude, I think you should go to Vegas, like pursue your dream and give it a shot. And he crushed it for me, man. He's still one of my best buds. I mean, we don't talk as much as we used to just because we're getting older, but I ended up getting a job with Meathead Films, which is sort of like the Theory 3 media for the Northeast, and was friends with Jeffy at that time. And Meathead Films gave me a job. It was like a classic ski industry job. I had like 9 titles and a low paycheck, but dude, I also had a free seasons pass, which they hooked me up for the first time. And I had an unlimited amount of free skis from our partners and gloves and Ben and Jerry's ice cream. And I ate a ton of potato chips from our potato chip sponsor, and Cliff Bar and Vitamin Water were sponsors. So I could eat relatively healthy. I knew what I was putting in my body. And I lived in Burlington, Vermont for years. And it was amazing. I actually remember thinking the first time in my life, I wasn't thinking about the future. I was just thinking about right then and there. It was the first time I was ever present in my mind. And I knew that all I wanted to do was keep doing what I was doing. And it was great. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, I think fortunately, Powder Magazine hired me and I moved to California. And that's when I began my life as the luckiest man in the whole world. So
It's up in Canada that, the media scene is substantially smaller. And like you were probably a little bit young, but I had to start in Freeze magazine, which was, such an honor to even have your name in those pages. But
oh yeah.
it was such a small community, like you said, one buddy helps another buddy. But that was kind of all we had. And then SBC Skier started, and
I mean, dude, Wes Anthony's writing for our next issue.
sick.
He's
Yeah,
a hero. He's a hero of mine. And Mitch Scott, I hope that Kootenai Mountain Culture comes back to print. because it's beautiful. And I mean, we print at Hemlock, we print in BC,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
you guys print at the
I'm,
best place, man. Shout out Hemlock though.
yeah, I mean, they're amazing. But I mean, like part of why we print at Hemlock was, I'd go to all these different printers and be talking, oh, we print this bag, we print this bag. JP Witham, my print rep, was like, we work with Mitch Scott. And I was like, well, Mitch Scott is one of the highest caliber people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
he's only printed with you, then I mean, Mitch has a good, he knows good people when he
He's going to
sees
work
them.
with
And,
only quality for sure.
yeah. And so it's been a great relationship. And I don't know, I always feel a certain kinship to different ski communities, like when I either experience or whatever. But I can tell you that some of my best friends in the ski industry live in the Pacific Northwest, specifically in the Whistler, Pemberton area. Definitely have some buddies in Vancouver as well. But I was in Whistler 3 years ago. It was the first time I've been back since summer camp when I was 12.
Right.
I just
Crazy.
just hadn't been there. And I was amazed that walking through the village, like, and just being on the hill, like skiing with Mark Warner, or whatever, like, I just like had friends there. And it felt really, and like, not like, I mean, Jeff Thomas and I have known each other since we were probably 20, 21. I mean, I have my friendship with him is long. I mean, like he just did a Powell Movement podcast. I know Jeffy so well. We've spent so much time on the road together and filming and making movies together, hiking at ungodly early hours together. But I still listened to the whole thing. I felt like I
Yeah.
knew like 90% of it, but I was like, that's my guy. And I sent him a text after. I said Powell, and I was just like, I don't know. There's something about the community up there. I love. I think in another life, maybe I was supposed to be born in BC.
I mean, it's interesting up here because it's a grind, right? It's a tough existence to eke out. And
I
so
think
the
that's what
fact
I
that,
identify. Yeah,
yeah, the
because
fact that
that's
they're
where I
doing it
grew up.
means they
Yeah.
care, right? They probably couldn't live anywhere else because
Yeah.
there's a lot of easier places to live for sure.
Nobody hangs in the Adirondacks of upstate New York because it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it is fun, but like it's a different kind of fun. It's not, you know, one thing that all Adirondackers do is we back into our driveways. I only stopped doing this a couple of years ago because I think my wife thought it was insane. But you back into your driveway in case there's an emergency, you need to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what a way, think about that psychologically.
Every time,
It's
right?
just
Valet
yeah,
style.
totally. Yeah, you're like, what if I need to get out of here?
Yeah.
And it's like I've never needed that trick, by the way.
The gas
It's just
tank never
something.
goes below half, right? Because
Yeah, never,
yeah,
never, never. You just keep filling it up like half to full, half to full,
you got to
half
be
to
ready.
full. But
Crazy.
yeah, yep.
So Mountain Gazette, I mean, this is such a cool thing that you guys have done, and of course
Thank you.
the ethos is after my heart, right? As writer print dorks that we are. Um, the you're pretty active on the digital forums. You do a lot of podcasts. You're pretty active on the LinkedIn with your posts. The thing that got me though, when I was like, oh, I actually, these guys are like, I didn't know you, right? I'm a little bit older. Our
Yeah,
paths didn't really cross in the old days, but
yeah.
it was the Gwyneth Paltrow shirt though. You made a shirt that said, well, we lost a half a day of skiing, and you're like, this is a totally valid damages like that. We all get it. And I was like, oh yeah, these guys are on the right path. That was
Dude,
what hooked me in. That was the hook.
still one of our best-selling shirts and sweatshirts, sold primarily to the women of Park City and Santa Barbara, California, who identify with the goop
Yeah.
lifestyle. But yeah, where to begin? We could start with Gwyneth Paltrow. I'd say this, like, Gwyneth Paltrow is the creator, I think, of the idea of a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
Now let's just be super honest with your listeners. Feet. Goop is not a great financial. I think they're overcapitalized, is what I've read recently. But I also think she's out. She cashed out. She's good. Like, but she got to, like, discover her life and do it on the internet and be profitable off it. And good for you if you can make that happen. But with Mountain Gazette, my thing was like when I worked at Powder. I mean, you were at Freeze. We loved the magazine. We'll talk about Freeze for a sec. Ask Brad.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad, this is how crazy how my life works is that Brad Holmes lives here in Tahoe. We have only met like one or two times. Brad Holmes's wife did my wife's hair for our wedding, and I did not know that. And so before my wedding, my wife had someone sneak a gift to me before she walked down the aisle. So I'm like nervous or whatever. I'm getting ready to like get married, you
Yeah.
know. And I open this box and it's a bottle of Attitude by Holmes cologne.
That's sick.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think about this just to get back to this point, the power of print, right? Like, so Attitude by Holmes, for those who don't know, was a cologne. This is during the era of like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, like putting colognes out. Freeze magazine and Brad Holmes and the people behind Freeze like put out a cologne called Attitude by Holmes. And it's the color of mouthwash and it smells not too far off from mouthwash. And Brad will tell you that. So I'm not making fun of it. That's Brad's assessment. But I remember seeing these ads in print. I remember Holmes writing about why it was so great. It made you a better skier. Like it was all these jokey things. I loved it. It was like the Huck doll, another thing that came out of Freeze magazine, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you could grab a Shane McConkey Huck doll and could visualize your tricks with a doll. It's so funny. But here I am 20 years later, and my wife gives me a bottle of Attitude by Holmes, and there's nothing in the world that could have meant more to me, right? If I calm my nerves now, I was like, today is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And all that.
Did you spray some on for the wedding?
No, I didn't. I sniffed it, and my buddy was like, nah, don't do that. But it's just like Sherry McConkey gave me a Huck doll when I first moved to Tahoe because she knew I was such a fan of Shane.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Dude, no way. Like, it was just so cool. Like, I mean, Freeze magazine created these like larger than life figures. And obviously I got to meet them, some of them in my career for sure. I never got to meet McConkey, but and found out they were just regular people that like to have a good time, like to tell a good joke or a bad joke. And like, they love skiing. But the internet, like there was nothing they could have given me my wife could have given me from the internet that would have left such a profound effect on my life. And so that's the power of print, right? It's holding something tangible. It's the idea of like, people send you links 100 times a day. They share stuff with you 100 times, like thousands of times a day, and it's almost meaningless now. But I can tell you that when our contributors reach out to me, one Scott Martin just reached out to me this morning. He did this East Coast kayak thing in our new magazine. He's like, dozens of people have reached out to me, and I think that's so cool. It's like this community we're building through print.
Yeah.
It's like finding out about a band that no one knows about. My wife's cousin sent me a text yesterday. He's like, we're at our friend's house for dinner tonight, barbecue, Mountain Gazette's on the table. You're practically a celebrity in here. And I'm like, no, that dude's just married to my cousin. And it's like, yeah, man, like I'm just a guy, just like Holmes is just a guy,
Do you feel like as print in the form that it was has declined a little bit? Do you feel like there's a pressure on the remaining titles to take themselves more seriously and strip away some of that fun and irrelevance that Freeze and those early mags would have, because you guys are a big title, physically large book, beautifully printed. Do you feel a pressure to we're the last bastion of this and we have to take that very seriously, and do you feel like you're not allowed to have that kind of fun that spoke to you when you were younger?
I think no, I think it's the opposite. I think we got to lean more into it. I think that's be fun. I think magazine publishers and editors should be looking in the mirror daily, asking, what am I doing today and why am I doing it? For example, gear guides. Gear guides were built for the internet. They were built for TikTok. They were built for Instagram. They were built for that. If that's what you want to do it. That's not what print magazines are made for.
Yeah.
Some people would disagree with me, but I think print magazines are for timeless. And I want to live in a world that's timeless. I want to live in a world where the things that we do now have importance because someone could pick them up 3, 13, 30, 300 years from now and be like, damn, people in the Northeast were having fun in boats, that kayak story, or like those dudes in 2000 were having fun on the glacier, like wasn't that sweet? And how can we have fun? And how can we be better people? How can we take better care of the earth? And I think every story that I put in the magazine is really meaningful to me. They're really meaningful to me as an editor. They're really meaningful to our contributors because they ideate with them, like, but as far as like having fun, I mean, my intro letter to this current mag is about that, about going out this summer and trying to like really expand your five senses and like smell, hear, touch, taste, like just live in the moment and feel it all and bring it all in and like have like be human and live your life. And the photo is from my middle school friend. She was in a wedding and is free soloing underneath this arch at a wedding in a cocktail dress with her beer, like a hold my beer moment.
Yeah, yeah, sick.
I mean, she's a third grade math teacher, in upstate New York. And I was like, this is the vibe. And I mean, all due respect to Alex Honnold, that's not Alex Honnold.
Yeah,
She's just
yeah.
a person in a cocktail dress climbing. And it's cool. And the spine is a slogan of a water park from the 80s in upstate New York, because I thought it'd be funny. And like, if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, there's something else in the magazine you'll get.
Yeah.
I
And
think the idea of,
somebody's gonna get it, so it's worth it.
yeah. And also, like, I think that's it. It's just like keep making connections with people. I was just in Vegas and I was wearing a Mountain Gazette hat. And I'm not even kidding, man. It was the coolest moment. This woman from Colorado was like, "Do you know about Mountain Gazette?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And you know what, man? I used to play it cool and I'd be like, "I'm not going to let her know." And I was like, "Yeah, like that's my magazine. I'm Mike." And she's like, "Holy shit, it's so cool to meet you." And like, dude, I was just like, "It's so cool to meet you."
Yeah.
Like
Like
I don't know what I don't know
I
what you do
always
for
say the same, like, oh, thank you so much for reading because
you spend $80 a year on Mountain Gazette. You're in Vegas with your girlfriends from college, just having a blast. We're waiting in line to get a drink at the pool, and you thought it was cool. You had the courage to just speak up and say you liked something.
yeah,
It takes no courage to say something sucks. Like the internet has turned everyone into a coward. You can just talk shit all day long. I think it takes courage to tell people you like stuff.
yeah,
And I think that more than anything, that's what Mountain Gazette's doing. It's everything that's in our magazine. We find value in it. We say we like this,
yeah. My
and
my
I think
old
our
thing was
readers,
the internet, like helping anonymous win feel tough since 1994, right? Like
yeah,
it's
dude. I mean, we joke when people like on our paid ads or our social posts or whatever, when they're like, $80 for a magazine, that's effing expensive, whatever. We're like, it is. It's also not cheap to produce. We really put a lot of thought into this, similar to how you put a lot of thought in your comment. We hope you have a great day on the internet.
yeah,
And they're just like, when you tell someone have a great day on the internet, you're just like, oh man, it's so
yeah,
like, I don't
it's
spend time on the internet, man. Like I've had friends text me about like quote unquote internet controversies. And I'm like, dude, I'm at the playground with my kids, or like I'm going to play disc golf with my wife, or I'm skiing, whatever. Like
yeah,
I don't live on the internet. I work on the internet. And you know what? Our social media sites have told us what they are. They don't make any of their revenue off of being good people. They make their revenue off of advertising. So that's what we use it for. We use it for advertising in it. And you know what, dude? It works.
yeah,
And that's a
and
great way to use the internet.
you moved away from that with the magazine. I mean, you have some ads. Um, do our mag's much more ad driven. We're in this little bubble of the sea to sky, so we're able. I think it's niche enough that that model is still working for now, right? And if
Nice.
you make sure that the non-ad pages are good and get good ads, it's probably gonna have to change at some point. But I wonder for you, how much of the magazine, like sometimes we'll get a last minute ad come in, and all of a sudden I need to fill a page, and it's like 2 days to print deadline and I'll just bang something out. And I find sometimes that's some of my favorite stuff in the magazine is the shit that comes
It's
in.
super.
Do you
Yeah.
guys get to do that too? Or is it more structured where you kind of know what every page is going to be up until it goes to the printer?
So we're 160 pages. Advertising's in the front and in the back. It's spreads and singles. We only
Yeah.
run three to four singles. Um, and so structurally we know what it is, but much to the chagrin of my copy editor and my art director, like I would say only about 85% of the magazine is set. Like, for example, our fall issue, winter's over. We're calling in stuff right now.
Yeah.
About 85% of it's spoken for. That last 15%, man, could be 12 pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
And
could
that
just
could
be
be,
like, it's one thing, like, for example, like our spring issue. And then like what's cool, man, is there's another one 6 months. And what I think is cool is giving people that amount of time is really cool. Like you give it time and you just let it breathe, and you find that like artists, photographers, writers, like they have more well-formed opinions over multiple months when they have time. We try to get stuff in quick, but I mean, a great example is like Jay Blakesberg. He's one of the reasons why I went to the Sphere this last weekend to see Dead and Company. Like, guy has shot the Grateful Dead since 1981. He shot the Legends of San Francisco. He shot the cover of Tom Petty that they used on Rolling Stone when Tom Petty died. I mean, the guy he shot Dr. Dre's first portrait after he left Death Row Records. You know what I mean? A guy has done so much that he, in a week, he could probably fill someone else's lifetime of memories, you know?
Yeah.
But I met him last fall, and we were just wrapping up 200. And I was like, do I want to sneak this in? And I'm like, nah, I want to get to know Jay better.
Right.
Because I just met him and I was really stoked on his work. I mean, the guy's incredible. He's one of the best, next to like Annie Leibovitz, he's probably one of the best music photographers that we've ever seen in America. And so I gave it time, and we got to know each other this winter. I brought him to a baseball game in San Francisco, you know, and like we hung out and had a meal together, and I checked out his museum exhibit. And then I knew exactly, now he's in our spring issue, and I knew exactly what I want from him. What's great is like, now Jay is not just some guy I met and we put him in the magazine. Like now he's a friend and a colleague, and he's got 3 or 4 more pieces that we can work on over the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And I do think that's it for me. But I worked at, you got to remember, I worked at a newspaper, a weekly. So I remember last minute hustle, changing layout, all that stuff. I like that stuff, but my thing is that, you know, we're about to hit 25,000 subscribers, all paid with Mountain Gazette. And I would rather rely on 25,000 people. That's more people than you can fit in Madison Square Garden in New York City, than 18 to 20 advertisers, which, you know, you've been in the industry. These guys and gals move and shake. They're moving their career up too. They might be at Solomon for 3 or 4 years. And sure, like we have a great relationship with Solomon, but if Joe leaves one day and someone new comes in, they have every right to not advertise in a print magazine. That's, no one would be upset about that, you know, except for our readers, of which there's quite a few. But I'd rather rely on 25,000 people than 18. I think it's strength in numbers, and that was why we made that decision.
How, I mean, in those early days of bringing the mag back, what was the strategy to get those subscribers? Was it like, you know, because it must have been a risk.
Dude, MC Hammer became an artist by selling mixtapes out of the back of his car at the Coliseum in Oakland. It's a pretty famous story, right? And I thought, you know, Bryce Phillips started Evo selling skis out of the back of his car, right? Yeah. And I'm like, this strategy works. So my thought was, look, I've been around the industry for a little while. I don't even have an email list, but I probably know 1,000 people I could email. I need 1,000 subscribers. Maybe they'll tell friends. And I was like, I'm just going to start. Everything was at 0, dude. No subscribers, no Instagram. We had a Facebook page that had like 5,000 people, but no one had talked to them in 12 years.
Yeah.
You know, we had an email list that hadn't been emailed in 7 or 8 years. And so it was like, all right, we'll just start. And I told my wife, I was like, look, if I sell 300 copies, we break even. And if I get to 1,000, I'll be able to make the spring issue.
Right. The next one.
And so I printed 1,000 copies and was like, this is how it works. And we had about 100 subscribers in the first like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so easy. And then it went to a trickle. And so then every day I look at the business like, it's almost like a garden, right? Like what's something you can do to make it a little better every day? That's how the best gardens work, because you make it a little better every day, right? That's why people love their gardens, right? I don't have a garden, but that's my understanding is people love gardens.
I had to tear mine out to put a boat shed in.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's good for the family for sure, you know.
But yeah, I get it, right? That's a pretty famous thing, right? The growing what you tend to grows the best or whatever.
That's it. And so I'm still that way. You know, I'm here in the office, and even if it's just like taking the trash out at the office, or like, you know, tidying up, sending a book to a friend, sending a sticker to someone who helped me out, or whatever it is, you know, like we had someone last week that noticed when we updated our site, we misspelled immediately,
Right.
right? And so they're like, hey, I was just on your site and noticed you misspelled immediately. Some brands would be embarrassed. You got caught with your pants down. You're a magazine. Oh no, you messed up. I
Yeah.
was like, dude, good catch. Please send me your address. I want to send you a hat. And I sent homeboy a hat and was like, yo, thanks. And what I love is forever, if that guy rocks that hat, they're like, oh, cool hat. Where'd you get it? I'd be like, actually, I corrected grammar on a website and they hooked
Yeah.
me up.
Yeah.
But like that's it. It's one at a time. You know, it's the idea of like
That.
USPS drops a magazine off on someone's, this happened last year, on someone's porch, and they were gone because a monsoon rainstorm came through. Obviously, like destroyed their whole neighborhood, their community, and certainly everything, including the Amazon packages and us. So we sent them a magazine. And then also I was like, hey, winter's on the way. Like, I don't know if you've got a partner or whatever, like pick out 2 hoodies and I'll just send them your way. And then I threw 2 beanies and some stickers in and just
Yeah.
said like, dude, that's not going to help them build their community, but at the very least, it's letting them know that something that they bought, like it's not just a financial transaction. Like we actually give a shit about them. You know, we routinely share Kickstarter campaigns of our subscribers or our contributors that are like doing cool stuff. And I think that's it. It's like, people ask me what the secret to this is, and it's like, it's just, you have to give a shit. You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
care. And I
And I
do.
think that could get difficult to scale. You know, if there's a million people, you obviously can't send a million hoodies out, but right now you're
No,
able
but
to care about everyone. You have the time to
uh
care.
the people that can get through to us, you know, I mean, the thing that I've increased is like, we started out with one 20-hour a month customer service person. We now have someone who works, she's still with us, but we also have two 40-hour a week customer service people. It's not because we have a lot of complaints. We make a magazine, we ship it in the mail. You know,
Yeah.
like the problems are all the same. But at the same time, like I get it. If you bought a magazine in December, you just got your first issue like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You've waited like half a year for this thing. And if it doesn't show up, you're pissed. And so what we try to do is we're like, look, we understand that you're pissed, but we're also people, you're people. Let's have a conversation. And the outcome will be you'll get another magazine, but you helping us understand how it worked, you know, like you're not going to get very far emailing us and then an hour later sending an Instagram message. No one's gotten back to me. It's like, dude, we will get back to you. We tell everyone, give us 24 hours at least,
Yeah.
you know? But I will continue to scale our customer service. And I've trained our customer service people too, where it might not be a personal thing from us, but I'm like, hey, if we have another policy, it's kind of funny if a dog eats or an animal eats your magazine,
Yeah.
like take a photo and send it to us because we're going to put it on our Instagram. We joke, Mountain Gazette, dogs think it's delicious. But we'll send you a new copy of the mag. Like we're just trying to do the right thing. You know what I mean? And like we can't always, like in any instance where we're given a choice, we choose to do the right thing for sure.
Yeah.
But if we're not given the choice, you know, like we can't read minds, but we do our best.
You talked about an error on the website. Do you still end up catching a mistake in the magazine once it's gone to print ever?
We
Or are
I'm
you
afraid, I'm not gonna lie, that's the hardest question anyone's ever asked me. Not just because knock on wood, we have misspelled a last name, but no, like that's the other thing. Tending is, so John, our art director, Kim, and Kim's our copy editor, we have refined our way of making the magazine almost every time.
right?
And so one of the things that we're doing now is we finish, so we know our deadline to upload files. We scrap that, and 7 to 8 days before that is our actual deadline. And like there's no like, whoa, we have a week buffer. We do not.
Has it always
Like,
been that way? Was that from day
no,
one?
that's new for this issue. So we've always just done what magazines do, which is like
Yeah,
last minute,
right
finish
to
it,
the
whatever.
wire.
Yeah. And that's part of the lifestyle, right? Like at Powder, we would stay up drinking beers and smoking and making the mag and ordering pizza at 2 a.m. and like going to bed at 7 and being back at the office at night. Like that was like, it was almost like a war story, right? You were like proud of the shit
Yeah.
you had been in. I was like, dude, maybe we can make a better magazine if we just do it this way. And so we got it done a week early. And then the three of us, we have a full copy editing process and everything. The three of us chilled for like 2 days. And then we spent the last 5 days reading the magazine the way it's not supposed to be read, which is on an iPad
Yeah.
or on a desktop. But what's cool is like I got to slowly do that final read through of the magazine, and we caught 6 what I would call little goofy things, that are
Yeah.
more style things, Feet, than like grammar things. But it's like, oh, for consistency's sake, we changed those. Now, Hemlock charges us about $150 a pop for those. We saved quite a bit of money finding 6 mistakes there. But what was
Totally.
cool is then I got my proofs, and I felt super confident. I did like a final check of like photos and graphics packages and stuff like that, but felt totally confident because the three of us had just enjoyed the magazine, read the magazine, and we read the whole thing, all three of us. So like, and we felt good about it. So that's been our new process. And so we haven't found any errors, but we're human, man. We're going to
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
mistake one day. And the thing is, we'll own it. That's the biggest thing, I think, is we'll be right out in front of it. We'll issue a correction. We'll apologize to the party we made a mistake with, but we
I
fact
always,
checked one,
I
one story
always
for
say
60 hours.
that's the warmth of human error, a phrase that my buddy Dave Barnes coined for me. But this these mistakes are how you know that it's not the AI making the magazine, right? Or the robots haven't taken over yet, because we can fuck up, and we do, and we
Dude,
will, right?
AI is going to be so amazing for data crunching and like data analysis and
Yeah.
everything. AI absolutely sucks at art. You're not making art with AI.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like you're barely using the English language. You're using prompts. It's no difference than like early DOS prompts to like get a game to come up. I believe in AI. I really do. I think it's going to be really good for our world. I think it's going to be really promising. I think it's going to help, well, businesses like mine, like, being able to enter all of our tracking numbers into an AI system one day and being like, hey, spit out all the people with tracking
Issues.
like that didn't get it. And then
Yeah.
we pass that over not to another AI, but to people. And then people solve that problem. That is a great use of AI in a magazine. But asking AI to like make a cover of a magazine, like, dude, I'm sorry, that's lazy. It shows it's the microwave dinner of media. And we all know what happened to microwave dinners. They're still available, but they're not very popular like they were in the 80s. So
Yeah.
AI is not for art.
I want to jump back to when you talk about taking 2 days off between
Yeah.
finishing the mag and then going back to it. Um, I always found that to be incredibly valuable with writing a story too. Do you do that
Definitely.
with your writing as well, where you'll shelve it for a little while and come back with a fresh look?
My book agent hates me for this, but what I do is I finish something, I get so excited about it. He lives in New York. I email him at like 11:30 or midnight. My family's asleep. I'm just like, yeah, dude, this is it. And then the next morning I have a cup of coffee. I get my kids off to school, and maybe I take my dog for a walk or I go ski, and I do everything on Google Docs so I can like pull it up on any device. I'll like pull it
Right.
up on the chairlift. And I was like, I meant this, but I use this phrase. I'm going to tweak that. I'm going to tweak that. I'm going to tweak it. And so Mark will look at it and he'll be like, dude, I'm not getting in there for at least 2 days. Cause like, I know what you're going to do. And like, I just
Endless
tweak
tweak. Yeah.
it. Yeah. And it's like not full, but like, I need to sleep on it. But, I'm a believer of like the Jack Kerouac style of writing of like stream of consciousness. Like if it's there, is not readily available. It comes when it comes,
Yeah.
and you have to seek it. It's like any muscle in your body. You got to keep working it and feeding it and growing it and trying to keep it healthy and not. I mean, inspiration can go the wrong way too, And so I'm trying to keep it the right way. And so I know what the values of the magazine are, and so I try to pursue things outside of my professional life or even my personal life, just to like intellectually just to find. Like I'm reading a book right now called The White Hand Society, which is how Dr. Timothy Leary, who was at the doing the Harvard acid test and mushroom test, how he recruited Allen Ginsberg, because what they found was when the scientists would trip on mushrooms or acid, they would try to describe it in scientific ways, and that's not what they were experiencing. And so they brought a poet in to try to help match what was happening chemically in your body and spiritually. And I just think of it that way of like, wow, that's a really interesting idea, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? But I'd never heard of anyone doing that. The idea of like, oh, we can't describe this scientific, we don't have the language for it. So let's get a poet who's like a known psilocybin taker in the
Yeah.
50s and 60s, like try to come in. Naturally, that set psychedelics back forever, and that was a terrible thing. But I picked up this book in San Francisco, and I was like, the person in the bookstore was like, this is really cool. It's about wanting to seek science and not having the language on how to explain it to the general population. So they took someone from the, it's almost like you need like a celebrity to explain a vaccine or something like that. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah. But anyways, yeah,
You
I do find like taking time off is really important, but I'm like, my brain's always working. It's the most active part of my body for sure.
you publish poetry in the mag. Is that
We do.
has it always been that, or was that something you decided? Do you do that every issue, or just when it fits?
Every issue. So it used to be a section of the magazine called Mountain Songs in the 70s. Um, I I think of poetry like a nice aperitif. You know what I mean? Like for those of you that like it, it's like a shot of Fernet after like every like bartender I know in San Francisco takes a shot of Fernet at the end of the shift because it's like a cleanser. It like cleanses your body. And that's the idea anyways. Poetry's at the end. I really think of it as like we can cover really heavy topics, we can cover really heavy things, we can cover really like funny, light things, but it's a lot of emotional stuff. And I think of poetry as being this thing where you get to take a deep breath, read something simple, and maybe like the point of view of a feature is like very acute, you know, exactly what the writer's trying to say. Poetry is a little bit more ambiguous. You get to like kind of, it's like looking at a painting, you can kind of take what you want out of it. So yeah, always poetry and always art. That's another one
Yeah,
too.
and the readership connects. You don't. You get positive feedback on that.
Um, we do, and I think but my feedback that I get, Feet, is like the magazine's great. It's like the whole package, right?
Yeah.
Um, but some of our poets have gone on to publish in other spots because they were discovered in the Gazette by another editor, or like, I think it's probably the hardest job in America is to be a financially successful poet. I almost think it's impossible. I mean, we pay well for our poetry, but I mean, like, granted, like that's not saying much for poetry, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You can't pay by the word. That's for sure, right? Like,
We don't pay by the word; we pay by the assignment.
yeah.
Um,
For everything, you
so
pay by the assignment.
yeah, so for like a feature story, we'll tell people like depending on the rate, like 2,000 to 8,000 words or 2,000 to 30,000 words. We've told one writer, and if it's like a really big assignment, we will pay a deposit up front. We pay 50%.
Right.
That's one of the things I took from production. And the idea is like, hey, look, we're invested in you. This is going to take you a long time. And so here's some money up front so that you have the time to invest in this, because that's what we're doing. You know, like it's an investment in the work. We've only had to pay one kill fee just because a writer pitched something and then wrote something entirely different. But
Yeah.
we paid a kill fee and encouraged them to publish it somewhere else. It just wasn't a good fit for our magazine because it's not what we needed for that issue. But yeah, I mean, we're moving towards a more equitable model too, that is like our word rates increase with every issue. So we're 8 issues in, which means we've increased our rate twice per year for 4 years in a row,
Which
which
I
is
don't think
nuts.
I don't think writers are finding that anywhere else.
I don't think so either. But also, man, like I was a freelancer for most of my career, and I always build it from the mindset of what would I like as a freelancer. One thing we're exploring right now with Blister, the review company out of Crested Butte, is they have an insurance policy. We're in the States. We don't have your beautiful Canadian insurance that you guys have, but
Right.
insurance is
You mean health
expensive.
and health insurance?
Health insurance. So one of the
Yeah.
things that I always worried about at Powder was like how screwed you get if you go on like an assignment. We had one, I think it was one of our staff editors, so they had insurance. But if you're a freelancer and you don't have insurance and you're getting assigned a story by a magazine, and you break yourself off, one, you probably can't finish the assignment, so you're not going to get paid for that thing. So you
Yeah.
just wasted a bunch of money. And two, you just incurred a ton of medical bills. And our burden is like, okay, well, you can't do that story. Do we get someone else to do it, or we just pivot to a different story? I always felt that was a little cold. It makes sense. It's obviously the arrangement that everyone agreed to, but it felt cold to me. So Jonathan over at Blister and I are coming up with this idea. So he has this supplemental insurance. It's like adventure insurance. So if you get hurt skiing, biking, climbing, whatever, what we want to do is we thought, what if we started getting this for our contributors before they go on assignment? So God forbid if something happens, they're covered up to $25,000 or $30,000,
Yeah.
which will pay for their deductible, probably pay for their evac, pay for like, we'll basically get them to a hospital, where their insurance will kick in. And then what's cool is that also it's there for the whole year. So like after you're done with your assignment, and I thought that's we only publish 40 stories a year, so it's not too crazy. This insurance is only a few $100. I was like, man, this seems like a good thing to do. And I talked to some of my contributors and like, why are you doing this? And I was like, honestly, it's kind of so we feel better about what we're asking you guys to do. Like we've got a writer going over to Europe this summer for a piece that's going to publish next spring in 2025. And my thought is like, he's going to be fine. He's hiking, it's going to be really mellow and chill. But if he does break his ankle,
Yeah.
I'd like him to be able to finish the story, one, but also like not have a broken ankle,
Totally.
and get a
Or at
little
least
help.
have it cared for.
Yeah,
I always kind of
exactly.
felt like with the brands, and I might not be as knowledgeable about what's happening now, but I always felt like the brands with their athletes, if someone gets hurt, they're leaving them out. Sometimes they hang them out to dry, or like,
Yeah.
I know kids are working at Starbucks, and there's an education program where they can like,
Yeah,
get a, and I
absolutely.
was like, why doesn't this, global corporation who has these athletes putting their lives on the line, do they have as well of a program as Starbucks has? And it seemed like a lot of them didn't.
I really do think a lot of it is like the values you have as a person. Here in the States, like our Supreme Court has said that like companies can act as people.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in that. Like I'm separate from the Mountain Gazette. It's certainly a big part of my identity, but if I lost it, I like to think I'd still be me, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but I do think doing the right thing, it's like we hear about like trickle down economics. Like I don't believe in that. I believe in like almost like ripple economics, which is kind of like something that I literally just made up on the spot. But the idea of like, if we take care of our contributors, let's start with them first, right? And we're
Yeah.
just like, hey, this is the deal. We're totally transparent and like nothing wrong. Like I have a call with someone after this, and unfortunately, I'm going to turn down his story pitch. But it's like, I'm not going to leave him hanging for 3 weeks. Like he pitched it last week. I thought about it over the weekend. It's not a good fit for us. And I'm going to call him because he's a friend of mine. I'm going to let him know, like, hey, this is not a great story for us. But this person's also published this before, and like we paid quickly, we paid on time, like whatever. I think if you take care of those people, then they're naturally going to have good feelings about working with you. And if
Yeah.
they have good feelings about working with you, they're going to tell their other contributor friends, like freelance friends, that they like working for Mountain Gazette, which means we're going to get more story pitches and better ideas coming our way. And then eventually they're all going to have Mountain Gazette on their coffee table. Their friends are going to come over, right? And so like it's not a trickle up or down. It's like this ripple effect, right? And I don't think you need to make a big wave with one giant rock. It's like we could throw a lot of pebbles out there and make people feel good. And that's the way I want to grow the community feed, is like just like one person at a time. And we're talking right now, right? And like, how do I know you? I know you because you put out a VHS tape 25 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
And we have a ton of mutual friends, but we never crossed paths. But like when you reached out and asked me to be on the pod, I was like, of course I'll be on this, dude. Like you made something that I care about. It was awesome. And like, I feel like I owe it to you,
Well,
because you made a smoke masked killer kill a bunch of cops in a ski movie that had Eric freaking Pejota open it. That's Logan's dad for all you young skiers that are listening. That's amazing.
he was a guy that I grew up watching him, right? And Trevor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, totally.
we could jump back just to that movie because, We had Peyote, we had Robbie Boyd, who's a Canadian icon, and then we had Anthony Boranowski in that opening
Yeah,
segment. And he was
good.
doing shit on rails that no one was doing back then.
That's the reason why when I got back from Camp of Champions, um, I got for that winter a pair of those black K2 enemies, not public enemies, but the enemies with the
Yeah.
USA bases and the all black top sheet. I was like, that guy's sick. It is so good. Anthony's one of the best humans that ever existed. He's a great person.
I mean he was in high school when we made that movie, and he would get up at 5 a.m. and call Travi and be like, "What's the weather? Are you guys shooting?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're shooting." And he would get on a bus and ride a bus up to Whistler from Vancouver to meet us on the hill. And he did that every weekend of the winter. He was still in high school, and he was one of the three opening. He's in the opening segment of the movie because he put in the work.
Dude, collaborative creative processes, I think, is the best. I could never be one of our contributors, Harry Bliss, he's a cartoonist. Every day he's waking up, drinking coffee, making a cartoon.
Yeah.
Every day. It's such a solo pursuit. His creative partner is Steve, the comedian Steve Martin. And I think like in a way, like working with Steve and working with like myself or Dave Remnick or whoever with the New Yorker, like I think it's really helped him because I mean, I can't imagine just like I couldn't ever be just a writer, like I have to be a writer and an editor, a writer and a photographer, just because like I need to be around people. And I think that's it. Like you're putting so much into a project. And when you find the people, if you're lucky, you find the people around you that want to put just as much, if not more, into the project. That's how you make good stuff. The reason why Mountain Gazette's getting better, I think, as we go further, is that we've established the fact that like we want our contributors to bring their best selves to it. Like there's no voice of the magazine.
Right.
Like we're like, bring yourself. Like the hard part's over. Getting into the magazine's the hardest part. Once we've given you assignment, now it's on you to like bring your energy and like we're here just to help. I've got creative check-ins today with like 3 writers for features for the fall issue. And I'm not there to like tell them what I want. I'm there to like hear where they are. And if they have questions, I'll help them where I can, but I'm not really trying to guide them too much. I'm trying for them to bring their best work out.
Was there an editor,
voice.
mentor, someone that you worked with that you model the way you do things after?
It's definitely an amalgamation of a few editors I worked with. So I'd say caring about contributors, that's certainly Megan Michelson, who was my editor at ESPN and xgames.com. I don't know that there's been a more caring editor in my life than her. I mean, her husband actually officiated my wife and I's wedding, and my kids think of her like an aunt. She's the best. Giving people a lot of leeway and like a really long, I mean, not even a leash, I'd say like unleashed was Schmuck. Like Schmuck was just like, dude, you know what we need, the voice of our audience, like go talk to them, so I'd show up with like virtually unknown pro skier interviews or like big Simon Dumont quarter pipe pieces. Schmuck was equally happy with both. Derek Taylor, my editor at Powder, he taught me a lot about, and Mark Frost, who's the editor of my newspaper, taught me about caring about the readers. Derek used to say, if you come back from a trip and you have an expense report and you bought drinks for like all the boys, all the pro skiers, all whatever, he's like, I'm going to fire you. He's like, those guys got their own expense accounts. But if you go out and you buy drinks for Powder readers, he's like, that's chill. That's cool.
Right.
Because none of the boys in Whistler are going to remember who picked up the bar tab, right? In the summer. But if you're out at a bar in Jackson and like some guy meets an editor from Powder and you buy him a couple rounds of drinks and you listen to his ski stories, you talk to him, you get to know him better. It's good for me. It's good for the magazine. And that dude's like, dude, I went to Jackson and drank with an editor from Powder magazine. You know what I mean? Like, so that's same with the Gazette, the same way.
I mean, it's interesting that, a print magazine is able to connect people better than a digital thing, which is literally built to connect people. But
it's just oversaturated. It's where magazines were in the 90s, man. All media is out. Podcasts are on their way there too. It's oversaturated. But I think what you find is consistency and quality are winning in the podcast world. Same with print. The problem with the internet is such a sea of garbage that you really can't find it's hard to find the good stuff online. Like,
The one thing I like about the internet, I don't spend not that much time on it, but I like how it democratized comedy. Like I can't imagine being a
yeah,
comedian right now because every joke is getting told all over the world all the time. And it must be a lot like, how am I going to come up with fresh stuff when every single person in the world now is able to publicize their sense of humor? And there's a lot of
totally
really
true.
funny shit out there. Like memes. Memes are funny.
My wife and I saw John Mulaney last winter, and the one thing I'll tell you is that they understand the power of the internet as well, which is why Chappelle and Mulaney and Chris Rock and Kevin Hart make you put your phone in a
Yeah.
bag that you can't open in the theater, because they want to save that for what? They want to save that for Netflix or Comedy
Yeah.
Central or HBO or
The rest of
wherever.
the tour, right?
Yeah. And I think that's it, is like, I know that a free and open internet is what we all want, but I don't know if we're better from a free and open internet. And I'm not saying that we need to censor people or anything like that. What I'm saying is that a little curation goes a long way.
Yeah. Which is
And
what
so,
editors traditionally used to do, right?
yeah, I follow this comedy account calls 30 as fuck, 30 AF, right? And I found a couple comedians on there, and what's cool is they're coming to Tahoe. They're going to be in New York when I'm in New York this summer. And these are not, they've never had, they have no specials, right? They barely have 6,000 followers on Instagram. They have like little comedy troops, whatever. They're not all coming up through the groundlings or whatever. Um, but I appreciate that. The reason why it's a good feed, it's highly curated. They don't have any, it's got to be funny.
Yeah.
And I do think like that's the point of curating and of being an editor and everything, is elevating other voices. You know, I'd be stoked, and I am stoked when I see Mountain Gazette writers popping up in other magazines.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good because I'm like, we found that person, but like, let them, they're freelancer, like let them
Yeah.
go out
Yeah.
and do their thing. I mean, Ari Schneider is the best example. He's writing things for Wired and the Washington Post now because those editors found him in Mountain Gazette. I think that's very cool.
What magazines do you subscribe to?
I read Ori magazine. It's a travel magazine started by my former intern, Cade Krichko. I always knew Cade was going to go beyond skiing because when I interviewed him, he had told me about a story he did photographing skateboarding in Havana. And that was at a time when US citizens could not go to Cuba. I thought, okay, this kid's seeing beyond
Yeah.
just skiing. I get Summit Journal, which one of our contributors brought back, Michael Levy. It's actually older than the Gazette. I'm not a climber, but my son and I are going to get into it. He's 5 and we're going to get into it this summer. So
Kids love
it's
climbing up
cool.
shit naturally. So
Oh yeah, it's so fun. I've always gotten Surfers Journal. We share a copy editor with them, and to me, that's the North Star. Steve and Debbie Pesman. I think my wife and I would like to be, spoken of in the same way, maybe 35 years from now. Um, Adventure Journal by Steve Casimiro, former Powder editor from the 90s. Steve and Joni put their kids through college with a print magazine. I find
yeah,
that to be really inspiring. And um,
they crush it online too. They're one of the few I think that does it really well.
they started online. That was their
Right.
start. And then they kind of pivoted to a print mag. But I'm looking over here. There's a Brooklyn based ski magazine called Hardpack that is literally not for people that love skiing the way you and I do. Like it is literally like meant for people in New York. It's like high fashion. And I love it because it's, again, I love people that look at skiing totally differently than me. I think it's
Yeah.
just so, I want to get in their mind and figure out like, what do you see that I don't? But that magazine's really cool. Um, Field Magazine, which is an online mag. They just started putting out a print photo issue. They've sold out of their last 2. They'll do a third one. They do it seasonally. It's so cool. It's a film based zine. So
Wow.
just film photos. It's so cool. It's outdoor based and it's all like kind of New York tri-state area sort of based. And I think that's cool. Adirondack Life. I get a lot of magazines. They're all
You
like,
do. You
I'm
do.
literally looking at them.
You do
I
better
like
than
I
me.
I like print. For some people they like vinyl.
Yeah.
Um, I like print. I buy a lot of print books. I still read on my iPad. I listen to audiobooks. I stream music. I do the whole thing. I'm not a Luddite. We use Shopify for Christ's sakes. I mean, we know what we're doing digitally,
Yeah.
but but I like consuming things physically. It's awesome.
I like Cream magazine. You know, it's a similar vibe to what you're doing.
It's funny
Um,
you say that, Feet, because I actually helped Cream Magazine come back.
yeah,
The
I
C,
subscribe.
yeah, the CEO of Cream Magazine is a former. I mean, he's friend now, but he was an early mentor for me. John Martin. He worked
Yeah.
at Vice for a long time, and real good dude. Yeah, Cream's sick. I do get Cream as well.
I you're probably a little bit young, but I credit, you know, I went to writing school and we figured out how to make the magazine in real time. There is no course on how to run a magazine, and I just based
Totally.
it on my freelance career. But I credit hugely Big Brother magazine
I
as
know.
it influential in my life, especially, you know, Dave Carney, Chris Naratko, the way that those guys wrote about skateboarding, and it was about everything except skateboarding some of the times. I think that's some of the best journalism I've ever read was came out of Big Brother in the early 2000s.
Um, it's my understanding that Big Brother is sort of the start of. They sort of started CKY, which then led into Jackass, which led into everything else, right? I mean, just sort of an amazing skate magazine. I mean, the legacy of it's sort of crazy. I mean, I don't know if there's like a Nitro Circus today or anything like that without Big Brother. Big Brother sort of seems to be like the genesis of all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, you know, skateboarding is kind of the foundation. Probably people will say surfing too, but for us, because in Canada, not a lot of surf, skateboarding is the foundation of all the what is now kind of known as the you know, extreme sports. It's not known as that, but the outdoor lifestyle sports. Uh,
I'd like to like call this notion the idea of like there's like some hierarchy ranking of like surfing, then skateboarding, then snowboarding, and like whatever. Because we all talk about that stuff as if it's like gospel. Like, dude, that's something we that was like made up. Like, I can tell you in upstate New York, like I did not give a shit about skateboarding or surfing. It meant literally nothing to me. The New
right.
York skate scene really hadn't started yet. Like to me, the coolest guys were skiers that were hitting huge jumps and my snowboard friends who had their own terrain park and like we couldn't go in there.
Yeah.
And like I never like skiing. I think of that hierarchy in the same vein as like skiers versus snowboarders. Like, dude, there's never been a snowboarder in my life that I've had beef with ever. Some of my best friends that I've ever made in my life are snowboarders. I don't even think of us as like being different. Like I just think
Yeah.
of it as like it's one culture that's very wide and expanded, you know? It's almost like being like, oh, you like the Rolling Stones and I like the Grateful Dead, so like we can't hang. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, we can totally chill together and it's fine. There's different universes and we can like you could see both.
It was a
The
thing.
idea of like,
It was a thing.
yeah.
It didn't in Whistler. It was a little bit toned down because everyone's chasing the same stoke and we're all kind of living together. But it definitely was a thing. Like I remember, you know, with my buddies on snowboarders getting spat on when they went under the chair.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, dude, like I'm not saying there wasn't that. Like there was a generation that was much older, um, out there saying that like, oh, snowboarders suck, they do this, they do that. But like at the same time, dude, I don't I don't think of those people representing skiing as a whole.
Yeah.
Like I that's almost being like it's like saying like humans don't like the music of, you know, don't like hip hop music because like a bunch of parents hated hip hop in the 90s and forced parental advisory stickers to come out on CDs and shit like that. It's like, no, dude, like everything in culture is driven mostly by either highly enlightened wisdom holding older people or young people. You know what I mean? Like I hate to say it, but like very few people, I mean, I can tell you right now, if I made Mountain Gazette and it was just my voice, nobody would fucking read it
Yeah.
because I'm a 38-year-old father of two. My partying days are behind me. Um, I was just at a Dead and Company concert at the Sphere. There's nothing more like middle class white dude you could do than that, But like, no, my writers are younger than me. In some instances, 10 to 15 years younger than me. And like our photographers are out there, they're doing it. Like, I've just never believed the notion of like we're a hierarchy. Like, because I mean, again,
You talk to most surfers I talk to are really cool. Actually, it's funny. Seems like shitty skiers, shitty snowboarders, shitty surfers, shitty skateboarders, those are the ones with the hardest opinions.
Totally. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
Do you feel a pressure? Do you feel like a gatekeeper of the culture? And, does it keep you up at night?
it does not because I'm not making the culture. I'm just reflecting it. You know, like these story ideas are coming to me. We're getting 6,000 pitches per year, so I can get a good sense of what people are thinking about, what they're dreaming about, what they're doing, what they're not doing. You know, I think like, for example, the two pitches that we've been getting the most is like since COVID, we got a lot of COVID pitches because we launched in 2020, but we've been getting a lot of indoor climbing gym and bike messenger
Right.
stories. And I'm like, oh man, this could be kind of cool. It's definitely our vibe. But I'm like, you go out and you look and you're like, man, New York Magazine nailed a bike messenger piece a couple of years ago. It's like, what could we add? Could we add anything to that, or we just be copying it? So
Yeah.
like, we haven't really pulled the trigger on that. I think a big thing, man, uh like we're like I said, we're just holding a mirror up. This is just what outdoor culture looks like.
I know we're running lean on time. I've got a couple quick rapid fires that probably might not be that rapid, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Respect your readers.
What do you value the most in your friends or in the people you work with?
Having a heart and having empathy.
What's the hardest lesson you've ever learned?
Um, your dream job is not your last job.
Nice. Advice for the kids. We'll go out on that. What do you say to the young kid out there who, is thinking about doing their own thing and taking that risk like you did with the Gazette?
Do your own thing. Don't talk shit. It's easy to talk shit. It's hard to make stuff. The coolest people in the world make stuff. The lamest people in the world talk shit about stuff that's made.
There we go. Let's end it on that. Mike, thanks so much for your time.
Dude, this was a lot of fun. And
I
if
know
you're out there and you're wondering like what can inspire me today, go find a bootleg copy of Parental Advisory and watch that shit because it's the fucking one of the best ski movies of all time. And I will say this right now, maybe the most underrated ski film of all time that's not highly celebrated. So thank you for making that film.
Well, it warms my heart to hear it, and people can just email me and I'll send them a link.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Feet.
Have a great day, man. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, text in. See you, man.
Well, there you go. It felt like Mike and I could have kept going, but I think he needed to get off the computer and get outside, which is never a bad thing. If you do want to dive a bit deeper into the ski movie Parental Advisory or old school ski movies in general, check out episode 7 of this very podcast, where I connect with Travis Tetro, who made that flick with me, and Canadian ski film legend Christian Beijing. Thanks for lending us your ear holes and your attention over the past 90 minutes. Thanks to Shirai and Adrian for the voiceovers and the music off the top. And thanks, of course, to Mike Rogge for freestyling it with me there. Beyond that, have an excellent summer, mountain lifers. Get out, get after it, obey the fire bans, read magazines, make memories, lift each other up, and be sure to leave the campsite better than you found it.